Taokalava Tabai.
How are you this morning?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Cold weather, we need to look after our homeless people. Not sure if the government is doing enough for them, Carmel.
Yeah, we're hearing from all of our social service providers that they're seeing far more people homeless, living on our streets, living in their cars. Yet the government doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that they are effectively responsible for what's happening. They've cut off access to emergency housing,
Yeah,
Tawai,
yeah,
which was never ideal, but
yeah.
much better than sleeping on our streets and sleeping in cars.
No, no, no. If Labour is in government, what is the best thing you can do for them?
The best thing that we can do is build the houses that we need, and
Yeah,
that's what we were doing. We were building record numbers of state houses. We
right.
hadn't had that many state houses or public homes built
Mm,
since the 1970s. A lot of that work has paused or stopped,
mm,
and you may have seen, Tavai, there was an article yesterday that was about the number of state houses and state and land that state houses is on that's been sold off by this government. So we end up in this spiral again,
yeah,
where we're not going to have enough houses for the
right.
number of New Zealanders that we have.
Okay, Carmel, for you as a spokesperson for Pacific Peoples, looks like the government is putting a pause on the help for Cook Islands. Would you support that,
Yes.
or?
Well, we're really concerned, Tavai, because to be fair to the government, what the Cook Islands have done in terms of signing up with an agreement with China does run against what the free association arrangement is. So
Mhm.
they're not supposed to enter into their own independent security or defence agreements. And there was no discussion about this before
Right,
they decided to do it. So we do agree with Winston and the government
yeah,
that the Cook Islands is in the wrong here.
right.
The step that the government have taken in terms of pausing the funding is quite an extreme step.
Mhm.
We've only seen it in instances in the past
Right,
where perhaps when I reflect back, Fiji was in the
right,
midst of a coup.
yeah,
Those types of kind of extreme situations where the government will hold back funding.
right,
And so it does go to show that the government is taking serious steps here. We're just saying they need to sit down
yeah.
ASAP. There needs to be face-to-face dialogue, and we need to sort this out. Our relationship with the Cook Islands is very important.
Excellent. Thank you, Carmel. My co-host Natasha Baidwa would like to ask you a question, please, Carmel.
Sure. Talofa lava,
Talofa,
Natasha.
Talofa lava Carmel. One of the things we talked about this morning is the Ministry of Education's new guidelines on school instructional time. Does the Labour support these changes?
Oh, Natasha, that's not something that I've had a chance to look at, so I wouldn't want to comment on that. It's probably something our spokesperson for education is all over, but I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with her about that.
Okay, Carmel, let's talk about the regulatory standards bill. Looking at this, do you believe it undermines the ability of future governments to legislate effectively for equity and social justice?
Oh, it does, and that's why Chris Hipkins has been really clear that if we're successful at getting elected in our first 100 days, we'll
Yeah,
be getting rid of this
yeah,
bill.
yeah, yeah.
It's also a reflection of the weak leadership
Right.
of Luxon. Again, he's allowing the tail to wag the dog. You've
Yeah,
got Seymour that's calling the shots.
yeah,
It's a concession by Christopher Luxon that to act that puts corporate interests ahead of the public good, and it will make it harder to pass laws that protect people and the environment. So
right,
there's been an overwhelming response, Tavai,
right,
in terms of the submissions, and we've committed to repealing that bill if we're re-elected.
right. Critics say the bill prioritizes economic efficiency over community well-being. If Labour were in government, would you push for a full repeal or amendments?
Oh, we would be pushing for a full
Yeah,
repeal,
yeah,
not only pushing for a repeal, but committing to doing it in our first
yeah,
100
yeah,
days,
yeah,
Tavai.
right,
It's dangerous stuff. We've had famous, really respected New Zealanders come out in opposition to this,
right,
including people like Dame Anne Salmon,
yeah,
who said it's basically this libertarian ideals that are being reflected in the legislation.
mm,
And then at the same time, we've got then David Seymour calling people like her
yeah,
deranged and putting out nasty social media saying that people that oppose this are deranged. well, that doesn't sound like the mature Deputy Prime Minister or Acting Prime Minister that New Zealanders should expect to see.
Yeah. I was supposed to ask you, how do you think about David Seymour as a Deputy Prime Minister of New Zealand?
Oh, look, I think it goes without saying that we don't support David Seymour's politics. We think he's really dangerous for a lot of New Zealanders, including our Pacific community.
Yeah.
Doing things like putting out social media, calling respected New Zealanders like Dame Anne Salmon deranged because she does not agree with his bill, is just another level of immaturity and lacks the leadership we should expect.
Right. So how do you respond to those who argue the bill simply promotes transparency and good lawmaking?
I think that they are the minority here, Tāwai.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people have come out in opposition and have said that it's dangerous and that it prioritises what's in the interest of landowners and the most wealthy over everyone else, and we just can't have it.
Right, Carmel, what risk do you see for Pacific people if this bill becomes law in its current form?
Well, as has been said, it makes it harder to pass laws that protect people and the environment, and fundamental to us as a political party are people and the environment. And of course, when you've got minority groups who are disproportionately represented in some of the most negative stats, even though we're an amazing group of New Zealanders as our Pacific community and we have a lot to offer, there are still challenges. Then you worry that a piece of legislation like this is going to block us from being able to get ahead and to thrive and to make the progress that we should expect to.
Right, okay. Hon Carmel Sepuloni, Malu lava whawhate lava. Last question is New Zealand doing enough for our people? I mean, people of New Zealand in Iran and Israel?
I think that the government need to be a little bit bolder here and call it for what it is. We do endorse a lot of what they're doing, but at the same time, they seem to be afraid to call out when breaches of international law have been made here, and we expect them to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Are we safe at this part of the world with what's happening in Iran, Israel, and America as well? Are we safe?
I think we're on the right side of the world, Tāwai. And I would hate to scaremonger and for our people to feel unsafe. At the end of the day, we've got to get on with our daily lives, enjoy our families, do our work, and make the contribution to the country that we live in and our region. And I think that's got to be our focus.
Excellent. Okay, it's halfway through the year, Carmel, 2025. What's your vision for the next 6 months?
Obviously it's to win the next election. And so, we're going to be working hard to keep holding the government to account. Behind the scenes, we're working on our policy as well, Tāwai. And so that next year we've got the alternative proposition to put to all the voters. And so we'll just keep working on that. My priority is our Pacific community, women in this country, and Auckland. And I'll continue to remain focused on that.
Hon Carmel Sepuloni, mahalo lava whawhate tele lava. Thank you so much for your time. Malu
Malu.
Whawhate lava.
Malu lava.